Molly, and today we are going to learn the difference between affect with an A and effect with an E. Now, I'd like you to keep in mind that these two words, when being spoken by a native speaker, sound very similar in the pronunciation. However, today I'm going to put some more emphasis on each of these words, that way you don't get so confused. Listen to these two sentences. The rainy weather affects my mood. The rainy weather has a negative effect on my mood. What's the difference between these two sentences? Most of the time, but not always, affect with an A is used as a verb and effect with an E is used as a noun. Now, affect with an A, which is typically used as a verb, can either mean to influence or to change or impact something. An easy tip for remembering the meaning of affect with an A is that it means action. So affect with an A and action with an A. Effect, action. Here are two examples of how we use affect. First, let's look at the example I gave in the beginning of the video. The rainy weather affects my mood. This means that when it's raining, your mood is influenced or changed. The second example. Traveling abroad can affect my language learning in many ways. In this example, it means when you travel abroad, it's influencing or impacting the way that you learn a language. Now let's look at effect with an E, which is typically used as a noun. However, it can be used as a verb, and we'll look at that in a moment. Effect typically means a result or outcome of an action. An easy way to remember this is effect with an E means the end result, and also starts with E. So we have affect, action, effect, end result. If the word follows a, an, or the, you're probably going to use effect with an E. Let's look at two examples. First, let's look at the example I gave at the beginning of the lesson. The rainy weather has a negative effect on my mood. Here, the negative effect is the noun. It's the outcome of the rainy weather. Another example is, traveling abroad has a positive effect on my language learning. Again, the positive effect is the outcome or change from traveling abroad. So let's compare these two sentences one more time. The rainy weather affects my mood. The rainy weather has a negative effect on my mood. Traveling abroad can affect my language learning in many ways. Traveling abroad has a positive effect on my language learning. Now, as I mentioned before, most of the time, affect with an A is used as a verb and effect with an E is used as a noun. However, there are some circumstances where they can be used in different ways. Affect with an A can also be used as a noun, meaning emotion or mood. For example, the doctors observed the patient's affect. Effect with an E can also be a verb, meaning to bring about or cause something. For example, the government will effect change beginning next week. Now, don't worry too much about this because these are very rare examples. Just keep in mind that most of the time, affect with an A is used as a verb and effect with an E is used as a noun. Now I'd like to do 4 examples where you try and guess if it's affect with an A or effect with an E. Are you ready? Number 1, the medicine had a strong on the patient. Is it affect with an A or effect with an E? If you said effect with an E, you are correct. The medicine had a strong effect on the patient. Why is it effect with an E? Because in this case, it's used as a noun. It's the outcome of the medicine. Remember that if you see a, an, or the in the sentence followed by the word, typically it's going to be effect with an E. Number 2, the new law will many citizens. The correct answer is effect with an A. The new law will affect many citizens. In this example, affect is being used as a verb, so the new law will have some sort of impact on the citizens. Number 3, the weather will our plans this weekend. Which one are you going to use in this example? If you said affect with an A, you are correct. The weather will affect our plans this weekend. This means the weather is going to have some sort of impact or influence on your plans for the weekend. And number 4, that experience had a tremendous on me. Is it effect or effect? If you said effect with an E, you are correct. The sentence should be, that experience had a tremendous effect on me. In this example, effect is the outcome of your experience. It is being used as a noun. So keep in mind, effect with an A is an action, and effect with an E is an end result. You affect something to get an effect. Affect with an A is the cause, and effect with an E is the end result. Keep in mind that when you hear a native speaker using these 2 words, you probably won't hear a difference in pronunciation. However, now I hope you understand the difference in the meaning and when they're used. Thanks so much for tuning in for today's lesson. I hope to see you next time.